Well, there seems to be quite a bit of UFO activity in Norway as compared to other Scandinavian countries, at least the last, somewhat 30, 40 years. I mean, we had the ghost rocket things here in Sweden at the end of the, World War II and all that. But recently there seemed to be much more activity in Norway. Why do you think that is, Terje?
I've been asking myself that question. And when it comes to this particular area, Hessdalen, where there has been enormously amounts of activity over the last 30 years, the only kind of logical explanation I can have is that this is a part of our country which is extremely rich on minerals. The largest mineral concentration of both the copper, iron, zinc ore is in this area. And it looks to me that this might have something to do with that phenomenon, because for a long time it was just like these lights, which probably were lights from craft, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They were traveling up the valley 8 o'clock in the evening every night, and they came back down the valley 2 hours later. And people in the valley said you could adjust your watch after these lights because it was just like a kind of a transport route. Many of these lights were seen going down into a small lake. Many of them, and there were registered landings. You could see kind of tripod marks on the ground after something very heavy, weighing several tons, had standed on the ground. Several places you could see where something or someone had taken earth samples. Big pieces of turf were cut out of the ground with the kind of laser precision type of equipment. So there was obviously something in this area that attracted some of our neighbors in the cosmos. Mm-hmm. And I believe it has to do with maybe the richness of minerals. I don't know. That's the only logical explanation I can have.
Well, that would mean that there is, there's a few different, possibilities here. Then one, of course, is that they are utilizing the minerals in some way, either for their own travel or for mining purposes in one way. Or do you think that there is another explanation for why they would choose that area?
Well, it's hard to say, because when you think of, we are talking about civilizations that maybe are not just hundreds years ahead of us, and not thousands, but maybe millions years ahead of us technologically.
Right.
God knows what they need. I mean, obviously there are a lot of civilizations who can travel back and forth within this galaxy. And I would suggest that they have maybe the same type of needs that we have. I mean, we're traveling around this globe looking for different types of resources for our energy systems and for our building systems, et cetera, et cetera. And so maybe there are a lot of races traveling around on different planets mining for resources that they need. So, and their technology is so advanced that they can operate without being visible. They can dematerialize, go into mountains. We have seen a lot of these lights just popping in and out of mountainsides. So, I mean, it's a technology that we can just dream of. So, I think it's not easy to say. I mean, viewing it from our kind of standpoint and our paradigm can maybe give us some explanations, but I just have a feeling that there are so many other explanations to this that we don't have a chance to dream of, from our standpoint today.
Yeah. Well, I feel personally that we might be looking at many different types of phenomena that are kind of, intersecting, if you will, in certain places because of curiosity of studying, the different phenomena that we might see. I mean, for instance, the Hessdalen-light might be a natural phenomena connected to the geology or the minerals that you mentioned before, while we have nuts and bolts crafts that is also visiting the area because of this reason, because there might be an energy source there. But as you mentioned, obviously you have a lot of mountains in Norway. That opens up the possibility of mountain bases or underground bases. But how much of this do you potentially put to the idea of military experimentation? You guys in Norway are part of NATO. Could that have anything to do with the phenomena we're seeing here, do you think?
Well, that's also a big question, and there are a lot of theories about the military being involved with this. I'm not myself. I really don't dig into all these conspiracy theories myself because people have a very live imagination, and it's when you go on that road, everything can be possible. But and of course there is of course a possibility that fractions within our NATO systems or the U.S. military systems have some kind of secret projects, and that there are things going on that we don't know about at all. But on the other hand, the Norwegian society is very transparent. You can't really do too much in Norway before people know. And so I believe I really don't follow those theories too far, because I feel that if that would have been the case, that the military had something to do with this, we would probably know. Someone would have leaked it out, and there is no kind of evidence of that. So I'm not so very into that.
Wow, you guys are lucky in Sweden. Here in Norway, here in Sweden, it's a shadow. We live in a in a complete blanket state, as it was. But I primarily feel that that's because of people's curiosity. Though we are not prone to, as a collective nation, ask questions about what our government is up to. And I always felt that if things are on a secret and above, top secret level, what have you, in terms of military, the people would never find out, at least not in this country. Could that still be a possibility in Norway, do you think?
Well, of course, we have to hold every possibility for open, but again, I think it's very easy to let your fantasy start creating imaginations. And when it comes to military involvement in these projects, well, of course, I won't speak on the behalf of the United States, but I'm not so very sure that the Norwegian government or the Norwegian military is heavy into this. Again, Norway is a very transparent society, and if that was the case, someone would at some point have leaked something. And that has never happened in Norway. So I can't speak for Sweden, but, that's my personal view. And, of course, it's not worth much, but that's my personal view anyway. Okay. And,
I want to move on to some of the things that you feel are the positive aspects, I guess, here then, in terms of the new paradigm overall and what that means to you, and what you think the potential is here in terms of potential UFO contact, potential UFO technology, meaning we could, begin using other energy sources, etc. There's a whole subject matter here that is very interesting. But before we go there, just one more question about this. I have to ask you about what you think about the Norway spiral here in, was it almost 1 year and a half ago now? What did you make of that, Terje?
Well, first of all, it was not a Norway spiral. It was it happened over Russia. It was seen from Norway, and this happened, I think it was 8:30 or 9 in the morning, and it was pitch dark. The sun was starting to rise above the horizon from the east, and where this thing happened over Russia, it was backlit with the sunlight, and of course, as it was dark, where it was seen in northern Norway, what appeared had a kind of a very nice backlight to it. So I personally am pretty sure that this was a Russian malfunctioning missile, because, and there's many reasons to that. First of all, the Russians announced for the Norwegian military commanders that there would be a launch of a rocket that morning, which happened. And they have tried to launch that particular same type of rocket before, and it has malfunctioned many times before. And the explanation that was given by the Norwegian military, which I actually feel is the true explanation, is that this missile it had different propulsion, three different rocket motors, and one of them was malfunctioning, which made the rocket spin. And the exhaust gas from this made a perfect spiral. And when this was backlit from the sun and seen from northern Norway, it really seemed quite peculiar. And you have to know, many people on the internet have tried to connect this incident with the fact that Obama was visiting Norway the day after. Mm-hmm. They say that this was kind of a sign from someone to tell Obama something, or to try to connect it to the Peace Prize. Well, in my opinion, Obama, first of all, he was arriving the day after. And the distance from Oslo up to this point where this was seen is the same distance as from Oslo to Rome. So, I mean, if someone was trying to give Obama some kind of sign, why didn't they do it in Oslo? Why did they have to do it so extremely far away? That also is very unlogical. I have also spoken to the guy who is in charge of the Norwegian Research Institute in Tromsø, where they research these northern lights, and he's a well-known Norwegian scientist, and asked him his personal meaning. And of course, you can say that he's not objective, but he just said that we have no whatsoever reason other to believe than this was what it was announced to be a malfunctioning Soviet or a Russian missile. So I personally believe that's the case, but you never know. You
never know. Now it's an interesting one, and if nothing else, it was a beautiful geometrical display that happened in the early morning hours there, and it caused an incredible buzz, obviously, on the web as well, causing everybody to speculate and things like this. But there's a lot more information out there, obviously, from people who have tried to break this down and try to prove that it is a missile, while others say no, it can't be a missile, etc., back and forth. But that's a different subject for now, so let's leave that. Which is interesting to hear your personal take on that, Terje. But why don't we talk a little bit about the new paradigm, or what that means to you, and how it connects with the UFO phenomena?
Well, to see this in a larger perspective, we as a human race have come to a point where we now are like 7 billion people on this planet. And of course, what has made it possible for us to become so many is that we 150 years back found the oil. And after the oil, the discovery of oil and what we could use the oil for, the population on this earth kind of started to explode. Without oil, I've heard that this planet is not able to feed more than like 1 billion people. But with oil and with everything that we could do with oil, in way of producing foods, in way on transporting foods, in way of having energy, has made it possible to feed, of course, a lot more people. But this situation where we are kind of, the human race is expanding like a virus. I mean, if you go back to 1970, which is not so very far back, there was, by then, we were just half the population on this planet as we are today. And that's kind of pretty scary to think of. So the situation is that we are right now, kind of using up all the resources, the known resources on this planet. We are polluting the planet. We are seeing more and more of these wars caused by a growing hatred among people on the planet who feel that they have the rights to get what the privileged part of the population have. And so we are creating kind of a havoc, and this is only getting worse and worse and worse. So where does this situation lead us? It leads us on a path that in a few years is going to lead us into a pretty big crisis. We are going to run out of energy in like 50 years, at least. Even if we have renewable energy like windmills and and solar power, it only counts for a very, very little percentage of what we actually need on this planet. So the situation with oil and gas, which is